Well, hello. See these cute little curls? Anywho, welcome back to the soul's journey as CR. Yours truly, Zoe. I am Zoe, aka Z, aka Goddess Z. And we are on part 2. I came on here because I was watching wrote down a few things I wanted to say. Is this mic on? It is. I saw yesterday in the video that I posted. I was a little defensive. I'm sorry. I have like a bit of a mess in my room today. It's okay. You're bound to see it a little bit like this. Y'all could see everything else. It's not like a huge mess, but anywho, sidetracked. So, I saw I was being defensive yesterday a little bit, especially when I was telling y'all about to keep y'all's opinions to yourselves. It's still me trying to control stuff and me still trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho. And even though like I know like if the shoe was on the other foot, I don't know if they would, want to be Captain Save-A-Ho as well. So we are here today. And it is kind of like it's kind of cold-ish. This summer was not summering at all. Is how I feel where I'm at. All the rain and all this type of stuff, even though I understand the symbolism and all that type of stuff with the purification and cleansing, and we're all, not all, but a lot of us have been purging, so I get it. But I'm just like, damn, like I love it when it's hot. I like sweating. Anywho, so I wanted to start off with saying that, and then I also wanted to say was that it? I have one more thing. I have two more things, but I said them all in one. So I guess that I can so continuing with part 2. Maybe I don't need to say that, and that's okay. Cause like I'm also doing my best to not over explain things, you know what I'm saying? Cause like with the way that Mercury is in my chart, it's just like I feel like I have to really like break things down in order for people to really understand like what I'm talking about, understand. So but anywho, blah 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 blah. Alright, part 2. Yeah. Okay, so when I was talking about yesterday with the whole situation of oh, here we go. I also see that I kind of was in a sense like downplaying, but this could just be me. like downplaying the whole thing, because I have been so used to like going through and growing through certain things like this, to where like I downplay how I feel. I downplay like the whole situation, because I because of my strength, and because of me always recognizing like, oh, this is a lesson, oh, this is, I was supposed to, go through that or experience that in order to, like have gained this, or to realize this later, blah 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 blah, you know and or people are just playing their part type thing. And I realized that, like, because of this knowing, I tend to downplay my feelings and how I feel, how it was making me feel. And you know I may seem okay, and it's not to say that I'm not okay, but like, it's okay to not be okay. Like, it's okay to be okay, but at the same time not be okay. Two things can be true at the same time. So it's like, yeah, I may have a smile on my face and all this type of stuff, and I may not be in having a mental breakdown, or I might not, um, say that I need a hug or something, but I actually most likely need a hug. you know, um, and my giggles and laughs, like, like, and it's not like a mask, but it's more of a, is it a mechanism? I don't know. To just help me to cope, because I know, like, I don't know where I was going. Man, it is gone. But I don't know, I kind of felt like I was downplaying, the whole situation. Like, yeah, this happened, and but I'm okay. And it's like, this happened, and it was shitty. And there's more other things to it, and I wasn't okay for a minute. I felt very um like, the whole situation wasn't okay. Like, it was just like, well, this is like some bullshit, and also just some extra shit on top of shit. That's how I felt. And the experiences and the way that things were going and how people were treating me was also not okay. So yeah. Hold on. All right, we're back. Ugh. I just I didn't like that. I did not like that. I did not. So um so we left off. Those were the things that I needed to say. Um so we are where, in the month of April. I just moved into my aunt's, so boom, the whole job situation. So I applied to jobs and all this type of stuff. I remember I was doing my readings and things of that nature as well. But during April going into May, um I started to see that like certain things weren't working out, like the whole job situations. You know, and I was also getting upset and things of that nature. And then, but I still was just figuring out a whole bunch of stuff. And then also towards the end of May, I finally launched uh, Divine's Counsel, which is one of my businesses, but it's my spiritual business, where I offer my spiritual services. Um, and if you're interested, like you could just email me in my link tree in my bio. It's in my bio. There we go. I was doing all that, and then June was something. June was when so because I didn't have a job for about 4 years now, and the reason why I didn't have a job for a very long time was because like I needed to I needed to do a lot of healing, in which I did. I can say that I healed my entire bloodline. I freed my bloodline from an entity attachment. I have cleared my karmic debt and my past karmic debt. I have, I healed a lot of fear that was that was just so like had me in fucking chains, and I also healed the or I was also going through healing my mother wounds as well, which I finally healed in July, but we're in June. So that was why it like I didn't have a job. But also, I was and that was because like if I did, like I wouldn't have been able to do all those things. If I did, like I wouldn't be who I am today, which is like me getting to a certain point in my life to where I actually need to be at in order for me to continue on my own journey. And like being on this journey, like a lot of and also I'm building something from the ground up. Like I've tried to to do the quick money type shit. Never plays out. I remember like the quick schemes and trying to like do all types of things. Like it was just like I had to be reminded. It was like I had to be kind of slapped in the face and reminded, like, yo, like, like, didn't you just take a vow to say that you was going to do what I called you to do? You know what I'm saying? Didn't you say that you was actually going to take this shit seriously? So why the fuck are you allowing fear to sit here and allow these situations and things to sit here and have you not believe? I need you to believe, baby girl. So, hold on. Was that? So, I had rent money for May, which wasn't a problem. And I had rent money for June. For June, I asked. So I was still in my survival mode to where I was also trying to control everything. I had a lot of control issues that I'm still unlearning a lot of the control issues that I have. And it's not like, no, like it was, um, it was pretty, it was, dominant. Like I like things to go my way. And also, that's why I can't sit here and really be mad at certain people because they're reflecting things that I do, but maybe in different ways, If you see, if you see, if you know, you know. So at this time, when I asked, that was my last time that I asked my mother and her mother if she could help me with rent because I did not have it. And I was too afraid to not have it. I was too afraid to not have it because um, I was still holding on to the control. And Source was just like, I need you to surrender at this time in my life. And I was just like, no, I cannot. I cannot surrender. You have to, and uh, is that a roller coaster? Roller coaster? Shake, throttle, and roll, or something like that. Anywho, so um, I so I didn't think that they was gonna do it, but they did. They came through. I was like, yes. And but I was not worried about July. I was not because I was just like, I got June, and maybe something still is gonna play out. Da, 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 da. Maybe I'll still get a job, you know. And it was just like, yeah, yeah. Just you wait. Just you wait. Your tower moment is coming. So June. June is when I could feel that things weren't gonna play out how I thought. June was reminding me of, are you ready to really let the old go? And I it was like, cuz I wanted this new life so bad. I wanted this newness so bad, but I was so afraid. My inner child was so afraid. She was the main reason why. you know, it was like, cuz she was just like, well, the last few times that like I trusted you, talking to Source, whom to me is the Most High. Um, you all can say, you know, but um, I was. She was like, last time I trusted you, like you this happened, and then you told me to trust you then, and then this happened, and da 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 da. And here come the tears. So I finally, I forgot how I got her on board, but got inner child on board, got little Z on board, and then once I got her on board, it was like, all right, buckle up, because everything's about to fucking come crashing down. So here comes July 1st. I do not have rent. I was scared to face my fears of my I was scared that my aunt was going to like kick me out. I was scared that because I'm what? Breaking her rules. I'm breaking her boundaries. And granted, they're valid, bro. They're valid. And I was so scared. Because I was just like, what does this mean? Like I really tried my best. And we had a talk. In this talk, you know, first of all, I had a breakdown that I actually posted on YouTube, and only quite a few people were able to see that, and then I deleted it. But I still have the video. It's saved on my jump drive, and I kept it for like documentary purposes, but I posted it, and it was me just talking about like being obedient to source, being told to have faith in something that you just want. It was like I wanted to trust, but like everything, like I was just scared to not. I was scared to break rules. I was scared to um be just in the unknown, like, because it's scary. You can't see anything, you don't know what's going on, you're just trusting, you're taking a leap of faith. It's like, you know you're being ridiculed. It's like you just like it doesn't make sense. So, and I just wanted I really just wanted like everybody to just be on board with my journey. And it's unrealistic to think that way. Not everybody's going to be on board, because your journey is your journey. And when you have something placed, when you have a purpose to fulfill, like, source is going to make sure you're going to fulfill that fucking purpose regardless of what the fuck you want. And I was learning that the hard way, because I am hard-headed. I could have been, a lot of this stuff didn't have to happen if I just surrendered maybe a lot earlier, but I didn't. But I had to really learn to comprehend, to really be like, okay, you know, and to really also allow my ego to, I surrender, I'm sorry. you know and so July. So we had a talk, which was breakthrough moments for me, but also like not confusing moments, but it was just like this was when the decision had to be made. And it was like, are you going to do what God has promised you with being in your purpose, telling you like everything is going to be okay, telling you that, you know, you are going to be financially stable. I know you've been working so hard to build this financial stability for yourself, but I need you to trust in what I have for you. I need you to trust in what the most high of yourself, whom I say is my higher self, has said. You know, like, I know you overstand, but don't allow these outside things to take you out of alignment. And after the talk that I had with her, we were on the same page, and I still was like, I'm going to find a job. But then after, because my solar celebration, aka my b-day, was July the 3rd. And you know, my ass is posting on Instagram like, I just didn't have like a breakdown 2 days ago, you know. Like, I just wasn't crying my eyes out, and over here like, oh, you know. So, but I didn't, you know, I didn't do anything special, but I celebrated myself. You know, I puffed, did not pass it to nobody else. I received quite a bit of love, and I cooked for myself. I don't even remember what I cooked. It wasn't nothing fancy or anything that I actually wanted to eat, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah. So then, after that, I was called to go into silence because I had to make the decision. Even though, yes, you know, I thought I made the decision, turns out I didn't. Because not all parts of myself were not in agreement. It was like, ego was like, I'm siding over here, and I was speaking a lot for my ego, you know, agreeing with my aunt, you know, agreeing with the terms, you know, I'm trying to be, you know, I'm trying not to be a problem. You know, I'm trying not to be a problem. I am doing my best you know, to obey somebody's rules. But then I was realizing, when I was going through the silence and through all this, I have to go back into the story, but I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm doing something that somebody else wants me to do, and this isn't in alignment for me, and I'm not doing what's gonna make me happy. I would be choosing what somebody else wants for me and their plan, instead of my soul and what God has already told me what my plan was. And all of July, I was like, okay. My anxiety was through the roof when it went towards the end of July. It was just like, what are you gonna do now? Like, it's about to be August 1st. Bitch, what the? Are you gonna be a problem? Is it gonna be a problem? Da, 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 da. And it was just like, hold on. But we're gonna backtrack a little bit because I skipped a part to where I finally blocked my mother and her mother. But we're gonna pause right here. Oh, okay. I didn't see that I pressed play. But anywho, so um we're gonna go back to June. This because this was part of the tower moments. So the reason why I blocked my Kai mother, that I call her, but my mother and her mother, is because there was a situation that happened, and it enlightened me again about the manipulation that goes on in my family, and or that goes on between both of them actually. And it really just like, because when people are just like, let me just say this. For those who don't know, you're just gonna have to like watch a few of the videos that I had back. Was it last year when I was talking about what I went through in 2023 on my IG? Like, you're just gonna have to watch those. And for those who know about like me and my mother's relationship and things of that nature, it wasn't always like this. There was moments of this, but it never stayed like this. And back in 2023, she basically like put a lot of my family members against me, and she basically like tried to ruin my reputation, not only with them but also like with her friends, and just tried to have everybody turn against me, which I now know was also a part of this entity that my family was attached to, which goes into the spiritual warfare that I was dealing with, as well as a group of people doing some crazy shit, and some of my family members also being involved in that, which I found out later. um Anywho, so a situation happened, and I saw like my grandmother trying to, like, it was just like within the text messages and us going back and forth, like I was just like, so actually we're just going to read them because I still have the messages. So I was supposed to go to my mother's what's it called? Okay. I remember. It was my mother retired. So she had a retirement celebration dinner. And the day before, oh no, the day of, I basically canceled. And I was just like, cause I woke up with this weird feeling, and I knew, like, my intuition was telling me, do not go. Like, you can't go. And you shouldn't go. And I knew like I was gonna be hurting like her feelings if I didn't go, but I didn't care because it was just like I have to. I like like at this time back in June, like I'm trust. I'm learning to trust. I'm learning to believe in da 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 da. So it's just like, okay. And let me just say, come to fully believe, to fully trust. Okay, type thing. So my grandmother texts me because my mother did not text me back after I sent her a message. So this is her mother texting me saying, Hey Zoe, by not going tonight, it's causing much hurt in her heart, in my mother's heart. Please reconsider. Sometimes your gut is wrong, and afterwards you feel bad. So, for everything she has lovingly done for you, reconsider. Now, what just happened in June? They paid for my rent, holding that over my head. I love you and want you there. Please, for her sake, Gma. And I was in meditation when I read this. But anywho, so I replied back and I said, Gma, I'm not wrong about how I feel. I will not be gaslit to thinking that. I know she's upset. I knew she would be. But, for example, if God or your gut told you not to do something, even if it would hurt others' feelings, wouldn't you be obedient? And I know your answer is yes, you would be obedient. I know what she has done for me. Don't put that over my head to guilt me into feeling bad. I love my mom for all she has done for me. And then her reply is, what God are you following? Go ahead and get angry at me for my faithfulness to my God, because he is the one true God. Now, also back in 2023, the main reason why me and my mother were going at it a lot was because I was really into my spirituality at that time. And she, at that time, went fully devoted into Christianity. She was a Christian all my life, but she was one of those, the image. She was never one of those that like actually read the Bible and actually, was practicing being a good person. You know what I'm saying? But now all of a sudden, like it was just like you're this and you're that and da 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 da. So, you know, that was what that was. And so when I read this, now I did not know that my grandmother felt this way about me. And the reason why I say this is because during all that, I was not in contact with my grandmother back in like 2023. Because her and my mom's relationship, like, my grandmother put my mother up for adoption. So my mother was adopted into another family, da 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 da. And this is her real mother that, like, I'm talking about, that she has now reconnected with since last year. So, and they've been reconnecting on and off my entire life. But this time it seems more like a permanent reconnection. Also due to like my grandmother not really having anybody else in her life. So, but anywho, um, hold on. Oh, so with me saying that, you know, I didn't, I, I didn't tell my grandmother about like what me and my mother like went through a year ago. Well, now 2 years ago, but at that time, a year ago when we reconnected with her, I didn't tell her anything about what her daughter has done to me. I let that shit be because she thinks that her daughter is such a gem. And it's not to say that, like, she has great qualities, but she's not all razzle dazzle. But anywho, who is? But anywho, so when she said that, I was just like, oh, so here we go again. Obviously my mother has not changed. Because to when I moved back home, my mother was saying that like she's changed and all this type of stuff and blah blah blah, which I really didn't fully trust at that time. But I allowed things to play out. And this was just like a full moment to where it was just like, yeah, you may not have treated me like you used to, but obviously, like, my grandmother, like, why would she say something like this to me if you didn't say something, you know, like that? Because it's just like, it just doesn't make sense. And it's crazy. Like, people don't ask questions at all, like, in order to get their own answers. They like to believe, in somebody else, or believe in whatever the fuck. But it just, to me, was just like, so you've obviously said something to her for her to say something like that to me. Because why the fuck is this even about God in the first place? Like, I don't understand, and obviously, grandma, like, you felt some type of way this entire time, and then yet, like, now you want to blow up. And you're supposed to be, she's in, like, therapy. And I'm just like, you're obviously not learning shit in fucking therapy if you're gonna sit here and blow up like that at me, and then you're gonna try to gaslight me, and then you try to use something and hold it over my head. Like, so I replied back and I said, I'm not angry at anyone, Gma. I was like, I'm literally not even using exclamation points. I was like, I just use that as an example. And what kind of question is that? I love, believe, and know the Most High. And then she says, I thought you were into agape love. And I was like, I am. I was like, but what does this have to do with anything? And then she replies back and says, it is my bad. Sorry, just wanted you to come tonight. I love you very much, Gma. And I'm like, I don't like how this was handled nor what was said. I was like, but I appreciate your apology. And I was like, I still have love for you. But that was my last conversation with her. And what's crazy is, after the fact, like, she was trying to ease it over with trying to send me money. Like, okay, so, but anywho, and after that, I replied back to my mom, and she replied she didn't have no animosity towards me, like, or she didn't come at me sideways like her mother did. And she did not know, I guess, what her mother said to me, which revealed to me a lot of things. And then plus, like, even if she didn't say anything for her to formulate an idea about me, I don't care, because it was just like, that was my last straw. I'm done with being manipulated. I'm done with this shit, bro. Like, I can't do this anymore. And then this was around the time when it like came to me in my mind, and it was just like, she did this on purpose. And what I mean by that is, her giving me my brother 2 weeks, like telling us 2 weeks before we had to go, was all done on purpose. Because earlier that year, we were all trying to have a conversation together, and I have the recording of the conversation. Someone told me to re-listen to that. When I re-listened to it, it just put it all in perspective, because that conversation, my mother Because so the year before that, my mother was trying to instill fear into me, and saying all types of things about me and trying to ruin my reputation, da 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 da, which was the main reason why I moved out, and then I moved back in. So um, when I moved back in, she could tell that like she couldn't move me like how she used to be able to move me, because I used to snap. I used to let her like boil my fucking blood, and like we would be going just at it. And then, it got to a point to where like she was trying to be physical at me so that she could call the cops on me, um, to get me out of her house. And that was a whole thing back in 2023 before I moved out. So, boom, I come back in, she obviously sees that she can't move me how she used to, da 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 da. So she's like, I've changed, da 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 da. And so we're coming into 2024, and now she's trying to instill fear into my brother by telling him he has to have, because we would smoke in the house. So she didn't like that we had weed in the house. And she was basically like telling mostly him, but me too, like, if we don't have this out of the house by June 1st, then um like she was trying to scare us to, I guess, have something out by June 1st. She just kept saying, it needs to be out by June 1st. And so we had a conversation with her, and we were trying to figure out like we're all trying to work here. We're all trying to live, and kumbaya in this place and space. And, we're trying to, work together. But, this was her house, and, her house, her rules. And it was just like, but you've allowed it for so long. Like this, like it just didn't make any sense. Like, you've allowed this for so long, and like make it make sense. So when June 1st came, the whole conversation went to shit anyways. The whole conversation went to shit. I'm not gonna waste time on it. It went to shit. It went left as well. And then, because I am the scapegoat, she was blaming me that why the conversation went to shit. And I was, I just put my hands up, because I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's my fault. Oh, so that's June, or May into June. Here we go into September. She tells us that she's putting the house up for sale. Okay, cool. Me and my brother are like, okay, like, why are you putting the house up for sale? Like, doesn't make sense. Like, out of the blue, And then, you know, and then we go into towards the end of December, mid December, and then you're telling us we got 2 weeks to get our stuff because you never told us that you sold the house. And it it just all clicked in my head, and I was just like she did all this on purpose, just to be in her control, just to have control over her quote unquote domain, you know. And it just like, and there's more to this too, but it was just like, and I get it, like, like, somebody's house, somebody's rules. But at the end of the day, you are not a dictator and you know, and it was just for me, it was just like, if I have free will, who the fuck are you to tell me how to live my life? And who the fuck are you trying to dictate my life? That's just how I felt. And then you're doing a lot of shit out of the blue, out of nowhere. And it just, all because, like, you want shit the way you want it. And, you know, I don't care how motherfuckers feel. Because at the end of the day, like, that shit is whack and lame as fuck. This shit is lame. Like, I just, the conditioning of a parent, because, you know, they can't control anything else, really, you know, outside of themselves, you know, especially those that are like going to a job and not being able to control things around that job, or feeling like they can't control their life. But oh, if it's their home, oh, they a dictator in that motherfucker. Oh, it's my rules and da 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 da. You know, when life shouldn't have you feeling that way. Life shouldn't, like, it shouldn't be, like, it just shouldn't be this way. That's just how I see things, and how I, like, and I just don't think it's right. Like, I think, like, for me, if I'm not being disrespectful, if I clean up after myself, if I, you know, don't, if I don't, you know, if I provide, you know, for myself in a sense, you know what I'm saying? And I, you know, help out here and there when I can, and, you know, and you know, and I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not sitting here, you know, just being such a hard ass, or just somebody who talks a lot of shit, or just like in just is a constant drain, you know what I'm saying? Because I know some kids can be draining, you know, but like, if your kids aren't being that way and all this type of stuff, and you still feel like you're not in control, and they're not doing what I want them to do, like, I'm like, this is why, like, a lot of certain parents and certain kids, like, have issues with their relationships, and it's all because of control, and all, like, because of fear. And then, like, this is why, like, certain kids, you know, because they don't want to, you know, be the rule breaker, and they end up doing what their parents want them to do. And then they're miserable, and, you know, living their life, living their parents' life, and then their parents are living through them, like, oh, you know, like, it's just like, this is how I see it, like, and I can't unsee it. But anywho, so when I figured out that this was planned, and all this type of stuff, and I was just like, this makes so much sense, and I blocked her. I blocked her, I blocked her mom, and I blocked every which way possible that she could reach me. And that was in June. But and we'll get to August, and we'll get to July and August. Well, we did July a little bit. I may have missed something, just like how I had to just go back into June for a second and, you know, put some things together for y'all. But yeah. Like, this is 543 on the timer. Yeah, this is the shit. That was my life. So I'm gonna end it here because we're at 50 minutes, and I still have more to say. And obviously, there's gonna be a part 3. And yeah. Thank you all for anybody who's listening, and I appreciate it. And those who have opinions, you can have your opinions. I can't control that. And you all have free will. And, you can talk out your ass if you want. You know, and I know it's not all going to be like negative remarks or negative opinions. But, and I'm unlearning to not care. And I'm not moved by anything really anymore. I just realized that I just have to continue surrendering and continue, me telling my story, me sharing my experiences. It's inevitable for something to quote unquote negative to happen. And the negative doesn't have to be something like the negativity now is small. It's itty bitty. Somebody's words, like it you know, will not move me. So, uh, and I know I receive support. I know I receive love. I know I have people listening. I know, maybe some people can relate. If we can relate without trauma bonding, like we here with it, like, and I send you love, and and like, if you want to talk or if you want to chat, like, you can email me, like, or if you follow me on IG and, you want to check in on me, I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. DM me. So, but yeah, okay, that's it for today. Much love and appreciation, and stay blessed and stay dangerous. Peace out. I can take this off now.